Bartail has been one of the persons who's watched all the shows. I talk to him on a regular basis in the EverQuest Next IRC channel.
What we saw with, Kunark for EQ2, you did those 400 quests, you did all the content, and at the end of it, the world wasn't changed.
Yeah, I'm Phantom X. I do social media and write articles for EQ Nexus.
For the Fall of Bastion, there was a very definite, okay, this is where your story is going to fit into the world.
Listen, fluffy looking beard. Thank you. Listen, I went and I killed a dragon, and then 2 drops of whiskey hit my face, and I willed this manly beard into cow was raising. Yes.
Hello and welcome to EverCast, episode number 74, Storytelling Through Scenery. I am one of your regular weekly normal host, Tannlin, and as you can see, we've changed things up a little bit here. We're doing things a little bit different, and going forward from here, we should have the chat region captured and put into the video recording so that you can see, if you're following along on YouTube later, what what people were talking about. As you can see, it's just me, Tannlin, and with me is my other one of our other regular weekly normal hosts, Flattuss.
Hi.
Lucy should be back with us next week. We're really hoping that her internet is repaired and up to speed for that by next weekend. And of course, Kylust is down in Los Angeles at a trade show. So if this is the first time that you're viewing us or catching us on Stitcher or iTunes, or you're following along with us on Twitch, we're the EverCast show. We do a weekly show where we try to connect gamers with the game they play. We talk about all things fun and entertaining in the realm of online video games. Hi, Flattuss. What did I leave out? What I leave out?
Let's see, with Stitcher, with iTunes, YouTube, we're on all the things pretty much. We have our own website, evercastshow.com. You should probably go check that out. It's probably where you can find all of our social links. And you can email us at contact. It's contact, right? Not contact. Yeah, it's contact at evercast, or evercastshow.com. So yeah, send us your emails. I'll answer anything. You need relationship advice. Just I'll read it on the show. Send me pictures of your feet if you need to. I don't really care. Just send me an email.
Should I go see a doctor about this?
Just be photos of his feet.
You asked for it.
I did ask for it. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I've made mistakes. I've made mistakes. Well, that's it. Anyway, 74 is the last time Flattuss is here. Inbox full of feet.
Yeah. So we added in the chat box. We're going through this is all something that we do for fun and entertainment. Most likely because I don't have a chance to talk about video games with anybody I work with. I need that outlet, and this is the outlet I take. But because I still have my full-time job, all of us still work full-time. All of us have the other our lives. Plus, there's the video games that we're actually playing. The EverCast show is always continuously evolving and improving. We have some things in the works. It was like I didn't want to say anything about the website until it was out. Hey, it's live. It's evercast.com, evercastshow.com. And
we got some stuff. We'll get to it in a second. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. We got other stuff to talk about first.
All right. ECast news, the official ECast news. Black Desert Online is it's a game that out of I can't remember if it's Korea or Japan. I want to say it's Korea.
Korea.
they've localized to Russia, so they're available in Korea and Russia. They're moving to be able to launch in the US and the European Union. But they announced their business model for the North American market. And it's going to be buy to play with a microtransaction store, nothing game breaking, mostly cosmetic and convenience items, a la Guild Wars 2. I think I'm on the record a little bit as saying that I would just rather have all of the game, the entire game, for one low monthly fee, and I will happily pay that while I'm playing the game. But I don't have any objection to going a buy to play.
Either do I. I think that's probably a smarter move. It'll allow people to go in and try the game out. I know more people probably would want to see a free-to-play title, but I think them going buy-to-play will give them more of a leeway, because I feel that more Korean MMOs that come here and have a sub fee don't tend to do well, and the ones that just go straight here to free-to-play are monetized terribly. Like they're sometimes buy to win, pay to win. I think them going that middle ground of you buy the box, but you still, it's free to, buy to play. I think that's probably a better all around market, or not market, but business idea for them. So.
Yeah, and I think that you don't. I think that there is a fear, like, for a sub game, that, like, if it doesn't do well initially, and people walk away from a sub game, they don't ever normally come back, because all of a sudden now they have to go back into their wallet and pull out the money to throw down for that sub fee. But when it's a buy to play game, hey, you buy it once for the initial cost, and then if you walk away and you come back later, hey, that's it's like there is no barrier to come back into the game, and I think that that's for a new product, especially one coming from a foreign market. That's probably their best bet. Absolutely.
And plus, if it ever goes on sale, let's say if you don't have the money to get out the gate, and it's later on sale on Steam, or they do a one random summer sale or fall sale or whatever have you, 50% off, you got $20, and you're like, I'll try it out. Barrier to entry lowers, you get in there and you get more people during those times. It's worked for Guild Wars.
But well, in Guild Wars 2, they were the fastest selling MMO of all time. Like World of Warcraft eventually got big over time, and they peaked during Wrath of the Lich King, which was during their second expansion. Guild Wars 2, like, in the first month or something, they sold like 5 million copies of their game, and that was just, bam, huge.
Oh, yeah.
No, Tannlin is not going to Mars. I wish.
You go take pictures of that Buddha statue.
Yeah. So other than... we were just talking a little bit about Guild Wars 2. Arena.net, the developer publisher for Guild Wars 2, just announced that they're doing a 2-season PvP tournament with a grand championship series with a $400,000 prize pool over their 2 seasons. Basically, the rewards over the entire thing, $400,000.
That's a lot.
That's a pretty significant amount of money to throw down for esports. I think that's more that was the winner. I think that prize pool is bigger than like Heroes of the Storm for BlizzCon. So that Arena.net just said, we're making an investment in esports, period. That's unquestionably, you don't throw down $400,000 unless you're going to support that investment. I would expect to see more coming out for the Guild Wars 2 PvP scene. For those that are not familiar, it's not like World of Warcraft it's not a deathmatch. It's objective based. It's more like a rated battleground where you can kill all the other players and still lose the game because you have to be strategic about it. So pretty excited to see that coming. Hey, Flattuss, you want to cover that next one? Do you see it?
The league. No, that one right there. Yeah, Overwatch is to close beta on October 27th. It had a public stream. That's right. They had the public stream event on the 15th, announcing that closed beta will be going on. Is it next weekend? Actually,
yes, next weekend.
Yeah, it is. Oh wow, yeah. So after the 25th, so 2 days. So that Tuesday, I expect, which is Blizzard's normal, IRL day, servers will probably go down for their whole system. I'm calling it now. All the servers will be down, so that's across the board. And then people that signed up for beta since day one, that hopefully will get in. I don't know anybody at Blizzard, but I would like to make friends with somebody that can get me beta access.
The thing is that like I've mentioned before, I'm playing World of Warcraft a lot less than I did just even a couple months ago. But every time I load up the Blizzard launcher that has all their games, I click on that Overwatch to see, hey, did I get the beta invite? Can I start downloading the game? And I have not yet. But I'm looking forward to it. And I'll also throw out here that I'm horrible at first-person shooters. So Tony's like, this is. I will say I want to play it because I want to get my hands on it and I want to toy around with it and I want to have an opinion about it. But after that first like 2 or 3 weeks, I probably won't play it again because I will die. I'll be the worst player out there.
I'll end up eating it up because I am a huge just for people that don't know, when I don't have if I'm not playing an MMO and I just need to there are games I play when I just want to zone out, like MMOs I concentrate, read the story quests for Final Fantasy and stuff, but if I need something I just need to zone out and just play, I usually my go-tos are Blacklight Retribution on my PS4 and on PC, it's Team Fortress 2. I will just sit there, I'll log in, and I will engineer the crap out of people, or I'll run out of scout. I'll scout and play two fort and just run around and grab the case and try to win matches and upset people.
Yeah. So this is kind of my comment about Guild Wars 2. Also, is that you'll never see me competing at any level except for World versus World in Guild Wars 2 because I like playing support classes because I feel like that's what I'm best at. I like playing the healers, and Guild Wars 2 does not really have dedicated healers, and so I run around a lot of the time now that I've leveled up my Guardian, and I feel like I'm useless. I can't heal you. I can't use that clutch ability, that oh my goodness, we're all gonna die, and then Tannlin pulls out that clutch ability and saves all our ass. It's not available in first-person shooters, and it's not available in Guild Wars 2.
It's not, but I've seen some of the videos from Overwatch with those special abilities that the players have, the first-person people have. It does look like there are some of these clutch abilities because one character has this dubstep thing. I'm not kidding you. He races around and he can buff players. He can heal, give them partial heals, or he can buff up their damage. So there are things that it give you, like in Team Fortress 2 is really just the medic who can kind of make heavy invincible and stuff like that, or the engineer has got little healing things you can build, but Overwatch almost looks like it's got that extra step where you can do that. I can buff or offer my team a boost in abilities that can give them the edge, and that in first-person shooters that does give people the advantage. So I almost think that Blizzard intends this to be a esport first-person shooter esport.
Oh, totally.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's funny is because I even watch a couple of the streamers that not streamers. They work for Blizzard, but they stream when they come home from work because hey, what else are they gonna do? And they stream a lot of first-person shooting games. They streamed Destiny, and Ghost. Is that
Destiny? Destiny is the EA Bungie title.
Right, and then there's the Call of Duty Ghosts, or is that what everybody's playing these days when it comes to first-person shooters? Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, they're streaming a lot of that, and so I get it that there's a lot of things that you want to see from a gaming studio, and Blizzard right now does not have their signature FPS game, and Overwatch is going to be it. Oh
yeah, it'll be great. I mean, it's good because between canceling Titan. I mean, throughout the years, Blizzard's been known. Like, it's not like I know Titan was a big like, oh, they canceled Titan. Like, they've been known to cancel games. I mean, look at StarCraft Ghost. That, I mean, for a long time that was like always rumored, and like it was years, and then all of a sudden they were like, it's gone. It's like they kind of like sooner or later just said it just went away.
Right, but
she showed up.
From what I understand, it was that Ghost morphed into Titan, which morphed into Overwatch. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think that's like a company secret that they'll never talk about.
Yeah, although Nova did end up showing up sooner or later. She just ended up in Heroes of the Storm. Yeah.
All right. So other ECast news. League of Legends, the World Finals. Their semifinals were earlier today. The first round of the semifinal was yesterday. The second round was this morning. Their finals, because we're talking esports, all the first part of the ECast news. Their World's Final is next weekend. I will probably catch a little bit of that because my Seahawks are not doing so hot this year. So football is just not for me this year.
Sorry, are you quitting on football this year already?
Maybe.
That's not too bad. I mean, are you still planning to do your Sunday morning?
I did. But no, I
was gonna say, people in chat are welcome. Usually, right?
So what happened was that I raid one night a week with my friends from Seattle. We do that on Tuesday night, and it's a very low stress friends and family raid of a tier behind what's current tier. So we don't really push content. We don't really challenge ourselves. We just try to get through it.
What did I say? Laid back casual rating is what I called it for you guys. Like
yeah.
Very
You can't get any more laid back. Okay, it really is. But then I had another friend say that he wanted to do a friends and family raid for the current tier of raid on Sunday early afternoon, basically Sundays at 1. And so I was like, okay, I'll start doing that.
So now you're raiding Warcraft raids Sunday morning during football?
Yeah, because I can do. I mean, I'm a healer, and it's like that's why I like healing. I can multitask, right? I can see the health bars, and I can be like, oh, that's a good play.
You're like, I just installed Healbot. I just clicked the one button, and we're done.
No, I learned this from competitive sports. They don't allow you to use a lot of add-ons. Competitive esports, they don't let you use any add-ons, and so I try to play the game clean. Like the add-ons I have are convenience. They don't really affect my performance.
Smart.
All right, I'll let you get this next one.
Sure.
Because we talked a lot about this.
So MMORPG, the website .com, they had went and created a list. They all their writers and department leads met up and they sat down and said, we wanted to create a list of the greatest MMOs of all time. And we're not going to go through all 35. We will go through the first 10. We're going to go through the top 10. I'll send to one. Real quick, as a mention for Vanguard, number 34, Vanguard Saga. Yeah, Vanguard made the list at number 34. But number 10, Final Fantasy 11. If you did not play Final Fantasy 11, it was inspired by EverQuest 1. Final Fantasy 11 did make the list at number 10. Number 9 is Dark Age of Camelot. Number 8 is Final Fantasy 14. So Square got on there for both their MMOs. Congrats to Square on that. Number 7's UO, or Ultima Online. Number 6 is EVE Online, so EVE also made the list, of course. Number 5 is City of Heroes, RIP. Number 4, EverQuest, still chugging and still has that new expansion coming out this year, so congrats on them. Number 3, Star Wars Galaxies, RIP. And Guild Wars 2, of course. And number 1, without a doubt, who didn't see this coming, but World of Warcraft at number 1. Not shocked. I don't think Tannlin was really shocked either.
See, the thing is that if I was to write this, I would do like the top 3 in no particular order, because because all the arguments that say that World of Warcraft is the best MMO of all time are also some of the arguments that can be like, well, it was horrible.
Yeah. And honestly, this is based on the opinion. I'm pretty sure some people didn't agree with Warcraft being number one, you know, and I think it was more of a majority ruled at that place.
Yeah. But I just want to also point out that 2 of the games in the top 5 were shut down, and I'm like, well, how good were they? I understand that Star Wars Galaxies had like a whole different industry that was behind it that probably affected more of those game decisions than anything else, and so it's really hard to blame it. But the other, like, if you're going to be a top 5 game, like like this is like, we're going to make the Hall of Fame for MMOs, or we're going to, you know, do the Mount Rushmore of MMO games. It's like, well, how did City of Heroes change the, you know, how did it affect the other games? Because I don't see those effects on other games. I think that it was just notable because it was a superhero MMO.
That, I mean, the character creator at its time was probably one of the best, along with it later came out with the villains, and then you could be like, I think the reason behind it was that it was so popular, but it was so popular for when it first started, and it garnered a lot of popularity over the first starting years, and then later years when other superhero MMOs came out, or other type of battle type games came out, I think that's when it started waning, and I think they sold companies, and then developments slowed for it as well. So I think it was more of a bad things happen to a good game sort of situation, which is unfortunate.
I also want to throw out there that although we mentioned that Vanguard was number 34, but EverQuest 2 made the top 35 list. It just didn't. Not 14. In the top 10. Yeah, 14. Okay, you have 14. The list.
Yeah,
I have the link. I should probably share that with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, EverQuest 2 made number 14. Rift made 13 and actually beat out EverQuest 2. And then Secret World was number 15, so right in that range. Certain games we didn't see on the list. I know you had mentioned. What was the one you mentioned to me? I'm sorry. Star Trek Online. Yeah, Star Trek Online didn't make that list. ArcAge I didn't see on the list at all. And even though a lot of people hailed it as this big, it does things different. There's ships. There's fight. Not even there. Terra made that list, and ArcAge didn't.
I think that the best thing about this list is we can start making a conversation about it. Like, even if you didn't put Warcraft as the number one, you would say, hey, it's probably top 5, regardless, you know. And then that's the other thing is, like, ArcAge didn't make the list. I don't understand that. I don't understand why Terra got ranked as high as it did.
Yeah. I will say this. I will say grats to Daybreak, because not only did EverQuest make the top 5, EverQuest 2 made the list as well. EverQuest 2, so yeah, that's 2 of their flagship games. PlanetSide 2 made the list, and was there one more? And then Vanguard. They had 5 of their MMOs.
Star Wars Galaxies.
And then Star Wars 6. So we have 6 of their MMOs that all, you know, tapped in and reached. I would like to point out that Warhammer Online Age of Reckoning made number 16, which never had an expansion, lasted I think only 2 years, and that was it. I mean, I have the collector's edition in my closet. So
not on the panel. One of the guys that got me into MMOs, he was like all into it when it first came out, and I took a look at it and I was like, I don't really understand. Here's the thing, I don't want to be subscribed to more than one game at a time, because I know my play style. I'm never going to be able to give my. It's just not going to work. I want one game that I sub to, and then some other games that I don't feel like I have to sub to, that I play when I'm bored with my current one. And that's the great thing about Guild Wars 2 and World of Warcraft right now, is because those are the 2 that I'm sort of bouncing to. I would bounce into ArcAge, but I don't really have anybody to play with, and it is a very end game only. And so I don't feel like doing the grind to get from where I'm at to where we talked about last week, where like I have to go from the start to the end in order to play with other people that I can meet in the game. And I have friends that play World of Warcraft. I have friends that play Guild Wars 2, so I just stayed there.
My hours are changing, so you're welcome to come over to Final Fantasy.
As soon as they finally, I almost told people like, hey, since you can use in-game gold for World of Warcraft and you can use in-game credit for EVE Online, it's like, hey, I'm willing to trade someone. You pay for my, EVE time, and I'll pay for your Warcraft time. We'll just do a little exchange. But
no takers.
No, I didn't say anything because I don't think that I have enough time for EVE Online.
That is a time sink. So you want to talk about next week?
Yeah.
Or should
next
I?
Week.
All right. Next week, the 25th, is going to be our Halloween episode. So we are hoping Lucy is back by then, because
it should be back to a full cast of all four of us. I know Kairos will be back by next week.
So so Lucy already has her costume picked out. She showed us. I'm not saying anything as of who is what and what are people wearing. I may open a brown paper bag for all.
But with our Halloween episode, we're basically looking at how all of the Halloween stories in MMOs were rebranded, or is that the right term to use, rebranded? But
how I would say maybe how they took like all normal, what we consider normal Halloween lore in our cultures, and revived them and added them, like take World of Warcraft, the Headless Horseman, something that Sleepy Hollow, something we've read in books with Ichabod Crane, but taken, added to the Warcraft lore, rewritten, and then boom, you got it. Or you have a Pumpkin King in Guild Wars 2.
Pumpkin King.
Yeah.
Right. So we're basically going to look at all of the different MMOs that we can come across and look at what their Halloween story is, and then like compare them and talk about them and have fun with it.
Yep.
All right. I'll grab the next one. If you have Twitter, hold on, let's say if you have YouTube, and if you've ever watched a Total Biscuit video or a Cynical Brit video, this is a chance for us to throw a shout out to the people in what do we call this? This is the online gaming entertainment, right? We talk about video games, and we enjoy people talking back at us. And in every single industry or hobby, there are always the people that like broke the ground for you, that came in front of you. And Total Biscuit, is one of those people for us. Like if he was not doing the YouTube videos or his podcasts, I don't necessarily, I think that I might, but the people that I followed into this might not have. But Total Biscuit put out on Twitter over the week that he was diagnosed with a terminal case of cancer. The life expectancy for the type of cancer he has is 2 to 3 years, but he even said that number is skewed because it takes into account the elderly people and the people that are already sick. So he and the most inspirational thing is that he's going to change that average. But our thoughts are with him. He is a groundbreaker in our little hobby fun thing that we do on the side. And so we thought that it was important to mention it, to say that we respect what he did and we respect him as a person, and he's got us in his corner fighting if he ever needs it.
Yeah. And I don't know if you follow him on Twitter, but his last tweet about it was that he will change that number by the time he's done battling this. So his outlook's very positive. So, our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family, because it's going to be one hell of a battle, and I don't see him not doing anything different than putting out the content he looks, spending time with the family that he loves, and dealing with the internet haters that hate him sometimes. But we're with him on that good fight.
So I'll let you grab the last one.
Yeah, so last week we did giveaways, and it went great. Legendary and Boo, I forget his last name. I think Boyo 2 won last time. I will look it up, but yeah, we had 2 winners last time, and they were for Gigantic beta keys. Now, I used my personal beta keys that Gigantic had given me. I had emailed Gigantic. I said, hey, listen, guys, I really like your game, and I would like to give more people away beta codes. And gosh darn it, did Motiga did not, the company who created Gigantic, they emailed me back and said, gladly, they gave me a slew of codes. I'm not going to before I give out any today, I'm not really going to give out any today, so hold on. I promise next week we will give some out. I promise you. But we did. We got a slew of codes from them. I'm so grateful for Motiga for doing that, because this is closed beta and we're stress testing their game that is coming out. On top of it, Motiga has offered to do an interview with us. I have emailed them back. So the ball is in their court for them setting up a date. So in the near future, keep a lookout. We will have a Motiga developer, or possibly even, not sure who from the company, but someone PR, someone's going to be in this on our screen talking to us about Gigantic. And as far as I understand, that'll be one of the first podcasts interviewing someone from Motiga about Gigantic. So I'm very excited. This is one of our biggest interviews we will be doing. I hope everyone comes out for that one. So if you really want to ask any questions about Gigantic, yeah. So super excited. And they're the ones that asked us for the interview. So, and if you don't know anything, the guy who created Motiga worked at Blizzard. It's hard to just go look up gigantic.com and you'll see what that game is kind of about. They are taking the MOBA and flipping it kind of sideways, and I think it's going to be really cool. And so we will tell you guys when that's going to happen. Hopefully sometime in November. I kind of give. So
we're shooting for November. We have a couple, that's the good thing about having a schedule now, is that we know about things, and so we can plan out. We've got a couple other interviews that we're working on, and it's not even, it's, you know what it is, it's a matter of them getting back to us and confirming, hey, we're going to be on this date, so we can be awesome, and then we can go to the next guy and be okay, and you're scheduled for this time and you're confirming it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Woo!
So hopefully before the end of the year we will have 2 big interviews for you. Maybe we can try to get one more in, but I'm not sure. Also,
we're going for 3.
We're gonna go try to go for the big 3 in November. Try to get 3 interviews out. One from Motiga is for sure. We just gotta schedule that date. The other one is, and 2 more, and then those are gonna be secret person, another secret person, waiting. Essentially, we're just waiting on the responses.
I'll throw it out there, regardless of who we're interviewing. I don't want to talk about that. One of the things that we're going to be talking about is that in November, Samsung is coming out with they're releasing their, since it's in the future, it's kind of hard to, now I'm trying to word this correctly, right? They've announced that they're planning to release their version of the VR headset in November for $99. Because of the availability and because of the price point, we think that it's going to be the first big push into the market for a VR headset. We want to talk about it. The disadvantage with the Samsung one, I was looking at it a little bit, is that it requires you to have a Samsung phone to run it. It's exciting to talk about VR, and we'll do a whole episode on VRs for online video games, and probably branch out a little bit after that too.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna go ahead and mention it now, and I'll talk about it more next week. But mention it now. For usually during our break during the winter months, we just take a break. There's no content coming out of us for a few weeks. So this year we decided to do something a little different. We've been doing the show for over 2 years now, and we have a lot of good clips, a lot of funny stuff out there. And what we're gonna do, this isn't gonna be a video cast, because we're not sure, mostly it's not because we don't know how to do video editing. It's just for us to spend all the time listening back to old shows and grabbing those clips and then audio for an audio cast. It would be a little pain. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna grab all the audio clips, and if we could find a way to throw it up on YouTube, we can just do a splash screen of our thing and just put up the audio if we need to. So what we're gonna do is give you the best of EverCast. That's the best of rants from me. I would say maybe the best of Tannlin pulling a Tannlin, but that would just be silence.
know what? It'll be the easiest segment for me to do. It'll be just like 20 or 30 seconds of silence.
Just silence.
Like, and that was Tannlin pulling a Tannlin.
Tannlin, yeah. So we're gonna go back through and listen. If you can help us, and here's out. I'll talk about it more, but here's out. If you remember something clearly from our past episodes that you made you laugh uncontrollably, was one of your favorite moments, email us at contact@evercastshow.com. Email us the show number, and if you can go back and I remember what show that was. Just even if you can tell us the time at the just hey, at the 33 second mark, Tannlin said this, it was really funny. That'll help us out. It'll help us find it, and that way we can scour our backlog of shows. So anything, it'll probably be maybe an hour long. So it's at least something for you guys to listen to while you work. You need a good laugh on a Monday. That'll probably be what you guys can listen to. So enough of us blabbering about news and whatnot in the show. Let's get into storytelling through scenery.
Yeah. So again, I talked. How I described it last week is that what was going through my mind is I'm running along in Guild Wars 2 and I see a ruined castle or building. I forget exactly what it was over to the side, and I'm like, oh hey. Let's go look at it, because I didn't expect to see a ruin there. And then as I'm running through this ruin, I'm like, well, who ruined it? Why did it get ruined? Who built it? Because there's no one living there now, so you can't just go and ask them. But it really got me thinking about how developers can use scenery to create their story or to tell a story. And I'm not talking about using, they can do things, and that's pretty easy to use a setting to establish the scene, right? So you walk into the swamp, and the developers have it set up so that the lighting dims or it shifts so that it looks more dramatically swampish, and they add fog effects. The music changes. They might add sound effects of crickets and buzzes, bugs buzzing around your head. That sort of thing is establishing the setting so that it feels like a good place. I'm talking more about how if you run across a castle on a hilltop, right? Who built that castle? Why'd they build it? And who it starts in your mind. You start asking your questions about what is going on with that castle. Castles are defensive structures, right? So you think about well, hey, there's this castle here. What's it defending? What around here is worth defending? Is there a city on the other side of the castle? So the castle is basically blocking off and defending it. But it can also be well, there's a ruin here. Well, who caused that ruin? I mentioned that earlier. But Flattuss, you got any other thoughts on things that you've come across in a video game that really make you want to know more about what's going on?
Yes. Sure. All the time. One and that sticks out in particular is actually in Warcraft, which is rare because usually I talk about Final Fantasy. But if some of you people have ever played Warcraft, I know Tannlin had, there is a section in Kalimdor, up in the northern area. There is a secret area that you can get to. It was harder to get to before the Cataclysm. Now it is easier to get to with flying. Before flying, yeah. But now you can just land. You can roll right over there. It is the infamous Fairy Circle. And Blizzard has been asked, why is this here? If you don't know, every couple of hours, Fey dragons, these little Fey turquoise dragon fairies will come up in a circle. It plays a song that only happens there in the game. No, that song never happens at any other place. Woodland creatures coming up, and they all point in a circle, and they shoot beams at each other, and this is magical, little mushroom circle. A lot of people think that's the entrance into the that was supposed to be the entrance into the Emerald Dream. Blizzard has been asked still, because it still goes on. They're like, what is under there? And they're like, something powerful. That's all they could say. Whatever it is, it's something impressive and powerful. So that was one of those things where I was like, what is there? what is that thing? It's also happened. I mean, so one thing I can say Blizzard does really well. There are little NPCs in the game that you can go and talk to, like especially stuff that happens after the Cataclysm and stuff like that, where you can go talk to, where like dwarves were digging before, but then the Cataclysm happened and allowed them access to certain things, or like you go talk to one of the dwarves over in not Kalimdor, but I always forget the other I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Flip those around. Eastern Kingdoms where the dragons just back to Kalimdor. Kalimdor is where the dwarves are. If you go talk to those dwarves, they say, we don't know what we found, but whatever it is powerful, and it killed like all the other dwarves. Only one dwarf made it out, and he said, I don't know what it is, but we buried it down there. So there are things in Warcraft that we haven't been, like, it makes you want to know more, but Blizzard would never say what it is, what's going on yet. That's their big thing, is like little things like that always happen, and you don't know what's going to happen yet.
Right, and we see this in other Legendary Neurotoxin brings up the great point, is that they have probably written more notes and more, like stories in the background that they don't have the time to put out in the world. So sometimes you'll run across things and you'll be like, oh, what's this? I really want to know more about, but the developers just didn't have the time to get that full what they wanted to tell you out there. And even in TV shows, you run into this too, especially because like they'll shoot a scene and they'll reference something, and then that thing that they reference gets cut from the television show because it didn't have enough time for them to show it. And so you're like, oh, I wanted to know more about that. It really piqued my interest for whatever reason.
And it's funny because a lot of shows that have like a big twist or mystery, sometimes that happens where like Lost was a good example, where like even at the end of Lost, like there were still missing little things. You're like, wait, what happened here? Like you still had questions. You're like, I got less things answered and more questions on this show, and it happens.
One of the other notes that I put down that I think that was really important for me to as a new MMO player, right? Like when you're playing tabletop RPGs, the size of the world is immaterial because it is the size of your imagination. If the DM tells you that you're traveling for days across the desert, you're imagining yourself spending days crossing the desert, right? It doesn't actually take you the days, but you still have that in your head. And one of the things that I had to adjust to when I first started playing MMOs, that was their idea of a desert and travel and distance. It's not really to scale. It's not to size, right? I think that there was somebody shot we're talking about World of Warcraft, and so somebody shot video of them doing the RP walk from one end of Kalimdor to the north end of Kalimdor, and they are like, well, if the average person walks this fast and it took me this long to walk from here to here, this is how big that continent is. And it was like 15 miles or something like that. It was ridiculously small compared to a continent. And so I always have to now, when I'm looking at something, is to take into account that this is not actually, this is the impression of what they want to show me. It's a very impression. They want you to get the impression that this desert is huge, even though there might be another city on the other side of the mountain dune that you can't see. And in the pre-show notes, one of the things that I wrote down is there any MMO setting where they don't do that? And the only one I could think of was Elite Dangerous. Because Elite Dangerous is to scale. If you fly out, one of the persons talked to me about it. Like if you fly out in the coordinates and you try to follow the Voyager 1 probe, you can eventually catch up to it. And it is where you would expect to find it in space, which means that you're literally flying your ship for hours out into the middle of nowhere. Yeah, and Legendary Neurotoxin brings up EVE Online, and I think that's EVE cheats because they have warp gates, right? So. And warp travel. So yes, if you stayed in sub faster than light speeds, it would be a huge, immense. It would take you hours to travel from one planet to the next planet in the same system. But because you can just warp there, and warp is ridiculously fast, it shrinks down the size of the universe to be more manageable. But you're right. EVE Online was the other one that I was going to pull an example of.
And it's funny because when things like that, happen. It's so funny because like when we think of scenery and size, a lot of people always complained in Warcraft about flying because you lost that scale of distance. Like when Burning Crusade came out, people were like, I'm not going to complain about the maps and zones and filling and all that, but when you look at it, you can kind of see their point where it's like you would miss, as soon as you got flying, you would miss things that you would normally, like you just hop and fly around. So the scale of things shrinks.
Right, and that's why I'm not anti-flying mounts, but I am okay with not having them. I'm not one of the people that complain and said, like, give me flying mounts, because I totally get it from the developer's point of view. One of the things that they can do is that if you're in one particular area, running around, doing your thing, they can create obstructions to block out the thing that is like, it's right around the corner. It is ridiculously close to you. It's right there, but because you can't see it and you can't get to it, it feels far away. And I that's one of the things that I take into account now when I play MMOs that I didn't used to, is like, if I can't just like run over to that thing, or if I can't see it, then they must mean this to be like, this is not a 5-minute run to get to if this was all scaled out.
Yeah, well, Final Fantasy 14 was scaled out, like not full scale, but what's the word? It wasn't scaled out. It was just that like where there weren't loading screens, there were traveling. It was open like World of Warcraft, so you felt more open. The only problem is it got sucked out because of PS3 limitations, because it's also on the PlayStation 3. So a lot of things had to be taken out of the areas and just given like little load screens, which kind of sucks. I'm hoping they get away from that. In the expansion, they got away from it a little bit and made it more vast. And I don't want to get into a whole flying mount discussion because that's not. But the scenery, no. What I want to get is into the scenery. How they kind of handled that scenery is with where like flying would take away from the ground. They added floating islands and stuff like stuff you want to go explore with your mount, where it was not only what was interesting on the ground, it was what was interesting in the sky.
And that's one of the things that we expect to find in EverQuest Next, right? They were talking about like there are different tiers of progression, like the tier 1 underground, tier 2 underground, tier 3 underground, tier 4 underground, but they also was like tier 3 is above you in the sky.
Yeah, which I'm still excited for it. A little bit of hope in that heart of mine.
Yep. I have to shut that down so I can see. So the benefits of doing this well. Obviously, it makes people interested in your world. It makes people engaged in your world. And if you do it right, and you get the right amount of curiosity, and people like me, so I'm running through, going as fast as I can through your continent, and all of a sudden you get me to slow down because I want to check out something because I'm curious about it. I might learn a little bit more about the world, like, hey, there's the ruins with the ghosts in it, right? And so I'm like, well, running around this ruin, looking at all these ghosts, checking out like, well, what happened here? And then the next thing I know, I discover a quest that I didn't know about beforehand that tells me the story about what was going on there. And so it's one of those things that like it rewards me for learning about the world.
Yeah, I agree with you. When Rift first launched, I played it, and one of the things I think I really liked about it, even though the scale was off, was how interesting some of the areas were. Some of them weren't that great, but there were certain areas where it was like, this is kind of awesome. You rolled in, it was like when they created that, it was like one of the last patches before they released their first expansion. It was like the Ember Fire Isles or whatever it was. Like that island was as big as the main continent, and it had tons of new creatures, and it was cool architecture, cool new plants. When they did they launched one of their very first raids. It just was this awesome, like, just towering fortress you did quests around. Like, it made you, and then I like the way that they just made you learn more about what was in there. They had quests that brought you inside, and you ran out, and you're like, oh, this is not a simple little dungeon. Like, you felt like there was a secret in there you had to find out. It's that little things like that, when it's done really well, it makes you eager to go. Like, I want to know what's in there. I want to know more about it. It makes you eager to stay in the game and learn more. And you'll read. I mean, I'll pick up a book if there's something in a book that tells me more about it. I'll read it.
Yeah. Right. So along with all of the examples of how storytelling with scenery is done well, I have one example of it done badly. So I pull up, and here is a map, and it is a map of a city called Lion's Arch in Guild Wars 2. And in the map, you can see that the center of the map is a place called the Inner Harbor. Okay, and it's important to note it is the Inner Harbor. It's not the Outer Harbor. In the south, kind of over to the left, or the bottom left area of the map is Fort Mariner. And obviously you're thinking, oh, it's a fort. Its job is to protect the harbor, because that's what forts around harbors do. They don't allow enemy vessels to come into the harbor. So what I have circled there in blue is cannon placement. And all of the little red dots that I've made are cannons. And then there's the little blue arrow that I drew. It's facing away from the fort, at not the harbor.
You know what the funny thing is? Didn't they do like one of the last chapters for their Guild Wars 2 was what their story was, the battle for Lion's Arch? Like, it was this big attack, right? What were those cannons attacking? The water? Like, no wonder they lost.
So, yeah,
cannon placement.
Well, I'll bring up the map in another moment here, because if you look on the left side of the fort, there are 4 more cannon placements that are actually pointed away out of the harbor to keep things from coming into the harbor. But the ones on the right hand side, where there's like twice as many cannons, they're not even pointed really into the inner harbor. They're really pointed into the
grass.
into the grass on the other side of the harbor. It's So this is like how you use your scenery to try and tell, like, and people that are trying to put a story together. Oh, it's a fort. It's designed to protect. Oh, it's got cannons to protect the harbor. And then you look at what you turn around. You're like, oh, hey, there's cannons. You turn around to look at what the cannons are protecting, and you're like, really? There's a waterfall over there. Is there something coming out of the waterfall that I don't know about?
Yeah, you think like, like, hey, listen, we discovered. At least say something like, oh, there's a secret passage behind that waterfall. So if we ever need to collapse the waterfall, we can shoot cannons at it. But no.
But it's not the only example. It was just the one that I ran into, and I just thought it was so funny. You're jumping around, and the thing that this map doesn't show you very well is the scale of Lion's Arch. Those cannons they're not right on top of each other. They're not right next to each other. It takes a little bit of running to go from one cannon to the next cannon. So the size of that fort is actually pretty huge and pretty impressive. So you don't really get the chance to like turn and look around behind you to see what those cannons are placed at, because the scale is so big. But when you do, it's like, wow, that's can we put all those cannons on the other side of the fort where they're probably needed?
Yeah. I mean, and it doesn't. It's that, I think, one of the few things, right? Like, it doesn't take away from the entire game, but it is almost like an oversight. Like, unless, I mean, listen, by all means, if somebody over there and wants to tell us why they were placed that way, there's some lore reason. Maybe there was an attack that came off, far shore ward and had cannons on that side. Good question. Were they stationary or were they mobile?
They rotate, but they don't move. And so even the one at the far north, even if it could rotate, there's like one of the things that you can see to the north of here. I'll bring it up again. If you can look to the north of Fort Mariner, there's a bridge that connects the fort to the rest of the city, the majority of the city. And so even if you could turn that one at the far north all the way around, it's basically shooting at the bridge, or it has to shoot around the bridge to not hit it.
I have a question, and maybe it's just me. Do you think that the only reason I'm going to play devil's advocate here? Do you think that for whatever reason, it's been a while since I've been in Guild Wars 2, that if anybody took over that side of Lion's Arch coming in this way, that they set up these cannons here for the purpose of just like if they need to protect the main part of the city, that they would shoot the cannons even at their own stuff, because they're like, if as long as we can keep the center of the heart of our city protected and shoot the outer stuff, we can rebuild that because we don't want to.
It's possible, but again, the
there's no lore to back it up.
Well, no, that's what I want to say. Like, if you're Lion's Arch is a maritime city, so it's got a lot of trade going on. You don't actually see the trade, but a maritime city, it's got huge waterfront. It's a commercial hub where people are coming and going all the time, right? So, and I wish that I had a bigger map, because then I would show you that the inner harbor is actually part of the waterway that goes into the Lion's Arch city, and the outer harbor is on the other side. And so that's where I was like, well, even if that were the case, you would think that, like protecting where the enemy forces would come across on the water would be more important than nailing down these people as they tried to come in through the land over there.
True.
And like I was been meaning to say, this isn't the only example of like bad scenery that I've seen in video games, but this was the most entertaining one, because it's the one where you get to talk about cannons and harbors and ships and invasions and type of stuff. But there's been other things where you see like a brand new house next to a ruin with ghosts, and you're like, it's not separated enough for the story to really work out well.
True. I don't know. I kind of feel that way with certain areas and a lot of MMOs where you're like in this happy little area, and then you walk 2 feet and you're like, where did this like nothing changed, like it didn't like ease you in, like it didn't take you down, like even if like, and I will say this coming from a gamer standpoint, the little things matter. I'm not, and someone could correct me in the chat, or someone listen audio may email me in, or hit us up on Twitter, and I may be wrong, but like to me, like little things, like create a little narrow pathway that winds, not changes the distance between the two things, but that winds, so it feels like you're taking a longer time to get there. Kind of like how you mentioned that thing that's around the corner, where a wind may take you a little more time to walk through, and it starts changing in from like happy, sunshine and rainbows, and all of a sudden it's like getting darker. Like when you walk to the deep woods, and it's like, oh, something's wrong going on here. You start seeing bodies hanging from trees.
Right. There was a Gandalf meme that just posted up on the internet, and it was like health potions all the way around. The game auto-saved. Boss fight.
boss fight, yeah.
Because it's coming, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of those things of like, yeah, but that's more of a game mechanic telling a story, and not like scenery telling a story. And we talked a little bit about that. Well, I don't think we did, but there's a extra credit video that talks about how you can use game mechanics to deliver your narrative as well as the quest dialogue and quest text.
Legendary's got it right. Like FPS maps are really bad about it. He's like, why would you keep explosive barrels in a barnyard? He's right though. My response is because why would you leave them in the house? Don't want the house. Barn you can rebuild. The house is tough.
We're right up against an hour. We were going to keep this short and kind of brief. We hope we entertained you.
Yeah.
Next week, because there'll be the full four of us, the full forecast. But full forecast.
Man, all right. Let me try. Next week will be longer because we'll actually have 4 people here. We should have the lovely and the young lady who likes to say the word P word a lot on the show. Lucy will be back, and we'll have Kylest as well, and it'll be our Halloween episode, so extra spooky, or spoopy if you like that word instead.
I don't. No.
I'm gonna just for that episode 75 is gonna be called spoopy. We do have a question from Legendary. Do auto travel and fast travel make the size of the world even smaller than they already are? Yeah, it depends. Like if I've already explored the area and I'm comfortable with what is around and I've already got it and I just need to just go and meet up with friends. No. Because usually you have to discover travel points, so you don't really get them off the bat. Now, was it Warcraft? At some point, I think when you got I can't remember when I came back for a Cataclysm and created here we'll just give you an 80 or whatever. What is it, 85? They're like right before Pandaria, like here, just have an 85. You just come back. I was like, all right, I'll take it.
When you pre-ordered Warlords of Draenor, they gave you a free boosted character
for 90, and then Pandaria. I think if you pre-ordered Pandaria or you came back and you pre-ordered Pandaria, you got and resubbed, you got a free 85 with this. I did. I swear to you. That's how I got my warrior. That's how I got my warrior.
Didn't think they did that until the very end of the expansion.
For Cataclysm, yeah, that was at the end of the right before Pandaria dropped. That's when I came back because I was or not Pandaria, but Cataclysm. Right before Cataclysm ended, and right before Pandaria launched, they gave anybody that was coming back at that time that hadn't played, everyone got a free 85. Not like the players currently subbed; it was people coming back. Because I hated Cataclysm, I didn't like it at all. So that's when I went to go play Rift, and when I came back, I was like, "Oh, I'll take a free 85." Click.
Did not know that.
Yeah. So that's how I got my.
Was that from a Scroll of Resurrection?
No, it was from the Scroll of Res. It was legit. You came back. That's what gave you the special Werven. You got a free mount too. You got a special Werven, which is a mount I don't think Kailas will ever get or use because they only gave it away that one time. I don't know if there's a different way to get it, but yeah, I got a special Werven because of it too, or Wyvern.
And I like the idea that you have to discover the game first, and then once you've proven that you've discovered the zone, then make fast travel available. I don't like just having fast travel right out the gate because it really... Well, it depends on what type of game you're trying to say. If you're trying to tell, hey, you start here in the world and we want you... Our game is designed to... if the developer ever said our game is designed to take you from X point to Y place, and while you're weaving your way through this world, we're telling you a story and we're trying to entertain you, then don't let them skip past it. Make them go through it. Otherwise, don't start out that conversation with your team and say our game is designed to, because it's not. It's designed to jump over it. And there was a great interview that I heard that if your game has a fun feature that allows them to advance, or if your game has a fast feature that is not as fun, but it is more efficient in leveling, the gamers are going to take the more efficient road more often than the fun road because they want to be more efficient than fun. And so the key to game design is to nail that center part where it's both fun and efficient, where the most efficient way is also the most fun way. And that's when it comes to travel. I see it as the same way. Make the travel most efficient travel, also the most fun travel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I could probably go more and talk about how Final Fantasy XIV did it, but just go play that game and join us on Fanfrit. So, join us on Fanfrit. I have changed hours now, so if you want to come play with me, this is now a possibility. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So speaking of that, I'll end you with thank you all for joining us for episode 74, storytelling through scenery. I'll nail that one day. Next week is Halloween. Hopefully we will have a 4 cast again. Full cast. And
do you not hear the pun when you say that?
What? Full cast?
Oh, forecast.
Oh, forecast. Hey. Yeah, forecast. I may call the episode Spoopy Forecast. Just on purpose. Next episode's called episode 75, Spoopy Forecast Locked. Thank you all again, and like as always, share us with your friends that play MMOs and are into online gaming. Share us with your family that are into MMOs online gaming. Find us at EverCastShow.com. Email us at contacts@evershow.com, and I'm gonna go ahead and camp us out. 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, pausing. Oh, stop.
I was gonna say time out.
Oh man!
I wanted to thank everybody for showing. There was a couple of things. Again, we're EverCast. We do a weekly podcast talking about all things online gaming that we think are fun and entertainment. We want to connect you with the games they play. Flattuss, I want to hear you say, have you ever practiced saying I'm your weekly, regular, normal host? Weekly, regular, normal host?
I'm Flattuss, your weekly, regular, normal host. Is that good?
All right.
You nailed it.
I just wanted. Well, you were talking about the different things that you practice, and
Yeah, I'm trying. Listen, it's in the works. All right, I got a new intro coming out. We may lose the video. It may be straight audio. I'm just not for reasons.
But you just threw it out there. Like, we want to do a new intro. Tease it out there.
Yeah, tease it. Yeah, we're kind of doing a new intro. We're gonna be working on that. We're gonna lose the video. Because our intro's old at this point. It still has Calibor and Chewy. Not that we don't like them. It's just they're no longer currently on the show, and it doesn't really highlight our current hosts. So, like Lucy. Oh yeah, canceled camp. Canceled camp. I think I'm good to camp now. I think we got it all out there. So
yes,
thank you.
Sir.
And see you all again next week. And I'm gonna camp out for real this time. I'm gonna start at 5 again. It's camping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you all for Halloween next week. Bye bye.